game number 3 as we have GEEK Fam and Resurgence each with 1 point this time. Remember, GEEK Fam is on the blue side and Resurgence on the red. Atlas is straight away banned away, so no team is going to be getting the watch out fatal chains.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you almost say fatal 5-way because of course we're gonna be blazing up the mics as well as we are getting ourselves into this game tree, which will give both teams that match point. So this is gonna be very, very important. And though KZP at first he is having a lot of laughter as well as smiles. Now looks to be a little bit more a little bit more of that sort of the thing going on inside his head where he really needs to make sure this draft must be perfect. But we're already seeing a couple of all these bans, which is going to be Atlas, Kaja, as well as Selena and Natalia.
Respectable here, but now GEEK Fam have to make a really tough choice because first pick has so far been so detrimental to a lot of teams. Oh, they don't reveal too much here. They instead go for the Kufra, and there's many different ways to design a composition around him. But Resurgence is kind of, sniffing it out. Like, okay, GEEK Fam has some strong pick potential on top of team fighting capabilities, so they're expecting GEEK Fam to go more team fight oriented. So they're gonna start off with their solid picks, the Claude as well as the Uranus. Those are the core compositions, and this Thamos, they're hopefully going to make sure that Uranus goes up against this Thamos in a 1v1 just so they can brick wall arts.
And like this is definitely the best scenario for the side of Resurgence, and remember they opened up the far side, so this is going to be given towards the side of RSG. And the last time that they've held on towards this, Jason did end up as the MVP with some of the highest kills. So is this going to be pretty much the repeat of game number 1 as we are looking at another Aurora ban right here?
I think they just want to take out the Aurora from the hands of Dominus so that, you don't get the freeze out. There's a lot of, stopping power when it comes to team fights. The Aurora can save and also start a lot of team fights for side of the GEEK Fam. But taking that away, of course, disables them, but I'm pretty sure they have a lot of other picks. The problem is here, I'm not sure if they're going to go for the Guinevere pick later on for GEEK Fam because Resurgence has already showed them how to defeat a Farsa comp.
Yeah, personally, I think GEEK Fam should have, instead of Jawhead in this situation, I think they might have considered, either getting rid of the Valier this time round, because I feel like Resurgence, like, Valier is going to be so good here. It denies a lot of space, it denies a lot of engages from GEEK Fam, or they could go for the Diggy route, but even then, that could be very, very scary if, they get flanked from an awkward angle, because we are talking about Zorn here.
So right now, I think for GEEK Fam, yeah, what's up, Contra?
No, you go ahead first, and of course I'll bring up my point later on.
I'm just looking at what picks they're going to go for. Are they still going to go for the Kagura to reach the Farsa and the backlines? I mean, they have to lock down on basically both the Claude and the Farsa here. So they're probably going to go for the Cho and the Kagura.
Your team is
Okay. Most likely so, like, they can definitely do that, but I'm looking at the Kagura as a little bit more of that defensive measure than going in for pretty much aggressive method, because if that Kagura goes pretty much all the way in towards that corner, there's still going to be LY4 to worry about. So this final pick, once again, the most important of it all, that might just actually change things. But remember, Guinevere, the only team that has actually brought this up is going to be RSG, with Sana going on that pick most likely, or could it be pretty much somebody else on that multi-row?
Oh man, this is going to be a really hard game for both teams, because what it really comes down to is just skill. Can Zorn actually use his bouncing ball to stop the spatial migration and the engagements coming in from the Guinevere? That's going to be really, really difficult to do, because both of them can kind of hop over the walls, and they have to take Flicker as well just to keep that playmaking capability. But yeah, looking at the draft, GEEK Fam wants to play the 1-3-1. They want to maintain mid control, rotate towards one of the weaker lanes, get priority, and punish Resurgence with picks, while RSG is playing a 1-4 composition, using Farsa, part of the 4, as a kill squad. They stick together, fast rotations, using Uranus as literally a brick wall against any offlaners or potential dives.
5 seconds.
All right, well,
till the end
as it looks
finishes
like
the
it, this is
battle.
going to be game number
Smash
3. Boys, I want your predictions right now for this game. Who's going to win? Contra and Gideon. Take it away.
Oh man, of course, I usually would prefer to let the game do the talking. I love both drafts here. I especially like Sana on that Guinevere, so I gotta say I'm looking forward for what's about to come, as we are already seeing both sides putting a lot of all these pressure over the mid lane as well as top lane. But there will be a little bit of invasion coming from the side of GEEK fam, which I'm not too sure. Can Jason deal with the heat?
Jason might be in a little bit of trouble, but it looks like they're gonna be forced off of their buff as GEEK fam has first rotation. They should be able to take this away, but can they respond to this? Sana getting a great spatial migration. He's already using the Vengeance to actually go through, but the backline, Arts trying to kill off Jason. Oh, he doesn't actually pull it off. He wasn't able to get the reset jump off of his passive through the molten sites in time, is forced backwards. Even though they did lose the buff, GEEK fam suffers some casualties up on that top side of the map.
Yeah, of course, it's Arts as well, so he's going to be put on a little bit of that setback, but it's not too much of a huge deal as he's facing off against Guinevere, which I feel he can still definitely hang on towards his lane very, very much easily. But, you know, I felt GEEK fam might have definitely bit way too much that they could chew right there. And speaking of which, we're already seeing Jason here trying to actually negate him from scaling even further, having that great knock-up. Oh, but of course, this is just going to be setting Arts aside, as he will not be able to actually get anywhere close to the minions until he hits the tower.
Now, notice that GEEK fam is playing a 1-3-1 composition, so their side lanes need to be strong. They need to be able to duel without any problems whatsoever, and against the Uranus lane, that's not going to go too well. But the Thalmus versus Guinevere, there is literally no way that Arts could actually get a kill in a 1v1 against him. And Ozora Veki, you bit off a little too much that you can chew. Sig still brick walling this team. The rotations, it's too late. They have overextended as RSG is able to respond to this. They've already picked up 2 kills, and now Zorn is on the chopping block. Can they pick him off? And yes, they do. He turns back into the team with the Tyrant's rage there. Unfortunately, he knew he was gonna bite the dust.
Yeah, and of course, GEEK fam, time after time, mistakes after mistakes. Doesn't seem like they have learned out of it. Oh, but here comes that flicker coming from the side of Zoreveki. This might just be pretty good, but it will only buy a little bit more time. Whoa, that wall charge though busted him off, and once again deleted off the map.
Okay, I wasn't. I'm too used to seeing Cho's having tenacity, so seeing Ozora Veki from a quarter of his HP getting instantly exploded there, really hard to watch. But up in the top side here, it looks like they did a little bit of a lane swap. They want to make sure that Cho is going to have a much more difficult matchup here as Arts slowly walks away. His molten size ain't going to help him here, but the counter engage coming in from Zorn. This might be their opportunity as they stop the feathered airstrike onto Jason. They've got their priority targets as GEEK fam look to pull this one through. Resurgence looking for a return kill somewhere, anywhere as they disengage. GEEK fam showing that they aren't afraid of RSG even in the worst of situations.
Yeah, of course, they actually flexed up a little bit of that muscle that they can still pull something off, and it's great that they finally catch on towards Jason, which have been pretty much elusive time and time again from the start of the match. They've been looking for that kill to put him up pretty much on the back pedal, but no, he would eventually fall in that sort of the second skirmish. But now, of course, both sides looking for a little bit of that reset, while there will be that attempt of the turtle coming from the side of RSG. So far, whoever's on the red side has got some pretty good win rates, but I'm not saying it pretty maturely, as we are still having Zord very confidently being inside of that pixel brush, while the shots coming out, and Uranus is down.
Oh no, this is bad because Resurgence actually had the positional advantage onto Turtle. And remember, nobody actually has a retribution to secure this Turtle, so Resurgence wanted to kind of hold their ground. Top lane is doing absolutely fine. Like, Guinevere can run around circles around Thamos forever, but losing Uranus just means that they have to give up their positional advantage here and fight a 3v4, and they can't really do much as Azora Vecchi is stopping Jason from going forward here, as KZP again tries to steal it away with the power of nature. Unfortunately, did not secure it fast enough.
Yeah. And right now, of course, with those sort of the movements coming in from GEEK Fam, they are looking pretty much great to move in and out of all these sort of the open space of the jungle, but they will look to secure that bottom side of the tower first. So here comes a little bit more output of damage coming from the side of Jason, just to clear off a little bit more waves with that Phantom Airstrike, of course, but over top side, it seems to be way too cleared off, so Resurgence might be able to dish out some damage and hope to secure a counter trade.
Yeah, I think as of right now, GEEK Fam have definitely adapted. Oh, here comes the dive onto Arts as they want to actually secure this top side. And yes, they do. They secure the top lane. They trade it 1-for-1 objectives, and the goal is just purely even here. KZP having to disengage, Sync the next to follow up with the concentration as well. He's going to be absolutely fine. And notice how GEEK Fam has adapted into this particular game, right? Zorn has been such a nuisance to Resurgence that a lot of the fights, they are making sure that they are keeping eyes on Zorn. This allows Azora Vecchi to actually go under the radar, and, you know, he has been managing to stop and cancel the feathered airstrikes from Jason time and time again.
Yeah, and right now, Arts being stuck in between, this looks pretty bad, but he has enough lifesteal to keep himself alive. Oh my, look at that sort of regen coming out of him as he's definitely healing himself back up. Concentrated energy for Sana as we are looking at Dominus here. Trying to actually take out that tower, but it just needs a couple more autos to get it pretty much off.
Turtle resurrecting soon.
Yep, they just have to kind of hold their ground here as GEEK Fam. They're sort of winning the mental game as of right now because RSG still have their eyes fixated on Zorn, and until they can kind of like remember that, okay, Azora Vecchi has options to get on top of Jason, we just need to protect Jason when he goes into that feathered airstrike, then the game can be a lot easier to play. Because remember that Azora Vecchi, he's not taking tenacity, he took high and dry, so he's building full damage, which makes him susceptible to even just a single hit from either a wild charge or even a feathered airstrike.
That's right. Right now, we're looking at level Y4. We'll be able to actually secure that wave. They didn't really need it, that Blazing Duet, though, but of course, just a little bit of assurance coming out. While the top side, we are having Arts as well as Sana taking on that 1v1, which will eventually change. Sana, pretty much preemptive movements, will be able to actually move aside and, of course, eventually give way towards the side of GEEK Fam. But well, we're talking about so many of these break walls. Zorn, KZP, as well as Sync. Just, you know, what can they do to each other? I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah, and it looks like they're rotating towards the top side of the map. Zorn is being very aggressive just to kind of make sure that, you know, choke points within the top side of the map are being cut off and rotational paths are being, you know, relayed. The information is being relayed to the team, and Resurgence a little bit slower on this trade, but it's going to be absolutely fine as, you know, the next big objective. Oh, Sana! Oh, he gets caught off guard, and even with the Vengeance not able to survive, I don't think Resurgence is able to capitalize on it, and GEEK Fam finally find a profit. KZP, oh, he's getting really low. Oh, L14 actually just gets one shot by Dominus and Feeks as well. Oh, unfortunately, you know, Dominus is the next to fall, but pure profit coming in from GEEK Fam. They've now developed a 2k goal lead against Resurgence, and we did see in Game 2 what a little lead can do for a team for the likes of GEEK Fam.
Oh no, over the top side, no, Jason gets bursted and deleted, but it will be a 1v1 exchange, as we did see Vecchi going down as well on his Cho. Now, Zorn's going to be walled off, and he has to flicker away, but that flicker brings him straight towards the side of Sync. Tyrant's Rage to bring him over the wall, and Zorn is still pretty much beefy. He's actually surviving through it all, and Sync might just actually be in trouble, but that's going to be a big shield coming out, and he will be walking in out alive! Sync now returns the favor and just smack them down once again.
Oh my god, Sync actually survived that interaction there. Luckily, I'm pretty sure he already has Oracle, and that's why the Yin Yang overturn didn't do as much damage as I would have expected. Let's have a look right now, and oh, he actually has a Dominance Ice. Okay, so that means he did take some magic resist emblems there to actually survive that damage from Dominus, as he already has the Lightning Truncheon. Really nice play here, but let's see what are the next moves, because Resurgence once again, we talked about the composition, having it all, the Lord Steel.
Oh, wow.
A 3 Magic Condo and one-shots LY4 before the Blazing Duet. Lord has been slain and goes over to Resurgence's side, but GEEK Fam is going to run Resurgence and look to force to make a mistake here, as LY4 has to sit in the gray death screen for another 20 more seconds. GEEK Fam have full control until Lord starts walking out of that base.
Yeah, now we're looking at the side of Dominus, now opening things up. Sync right at the front. He will need to actually clear things off, and with that sort of Lord going over the top side, they won't be able to actually escort it all too well, because they've already lost Sana, and all they can do right now is, of course, try to actually look for perhaps a pickoff, but GEEK Fam members are still pretty much on the top side here. And now that LY4 is pretty much in position, but what can they possibly do? They're looking for Jason once again. This is going to be looking like a really good dive for the side of GEEK Fam, but they are actually fighting too much. But Zorn getting out, as it will be only Arts being left alive here. While Cho is pretty much outside. He's being left all alone, as 4 members of GEEK Fam has been taken out. Then somehow the Lord survives.
That was so huge from Resurgence. Like, I thought this was going to be a mistake to actually go for another team fight after what happened just now. And after the pick from Jason, I thought it was going to be an easy clap. But LY4, with the help of Sana, going in for the long flank was such a good call. They catch out GEEK Fam's backline. Feeks had no chance. Zorn wasn't able to peel for the team. So Resurgence, as of right now, all they have to do to break GEEK Fam's composition is to get into flank angles against GEEK Fam. That way, if they play a front to front, Resurgence is bound to lose. So a great adaptation 12 minutes into this game.
Yeah, and right now, 12 minutes felt like forever for both of these guys who are playing, because any single mistake could have cost them the game. Like, we're already down to only a couple of turrets left for the side of GEEK Fam, pretty much even in terms of numbers. But now, well, this is going to be Sync pretty much chasing over the side of Becky. But oh no! That's a big trapping setup, and LY4 instantly gets deleted. Of course, in exchange for Ozorveki, it's not going to be well worth it. Well, big brain plays coming from the side of GEEK Fam.
Yeah, Ozorveki is just somehow always finding LY4. This is becoming a very major issue here. LY4 really needs that Winds of Nature fast, and Sync is taking a bit of damage. I don't think he really cares about it for the most part. Zorn knows that he can absorb it, and now they just have to watch the position of Feeks here, and also be very, very careful of where Zorn is. As long as they keep tabs on Zorn and as well as Ozorveki, this shouldn't be happening for the side of Resurgence.
Yeah, and Zorn now, of course, get caught up. KCP definitely sets it up for some really great exchanges, as we're looking at Jason getting that one kill. Sana getting a person down. Oh my goodness! He actually comes right back! Oh, what is going on here? As we're looking at Resurgence here, we're trying to actually take down Arts, as being a little bit more tough to actually deal with. But that exchange was so beautiful. Did you just see Sana actually almost dropping off, and he gets back up on track?
That was a perfectly timed vengeance. Now, Ozorveki, he's trying his best to salvage the situation. It's a team-wide. Resurgence have cracked open GEEK Fam and take Game 3. You were right. You and Faraz were right. This is going to be a full match